On this special episode of UMTV News, we have an inspiring origin story on the Florida Panthers and how one mascot started a legacy of success.
Plus, we'll dive into one of South Florida's richest ecosystems and break down a threat that might destroy it in the future.
And later on, we'll take a special look at Miami's art scene to showcase the fusion of culture and color.
These stories and more on today's special episode focus on the culture in Miami. UMTV News starts right now.
Hello and welcome to this special edition of UMTV News. I'm Caleb Shapiro.
And I'm Ava Kazirian. Thank you for joining us.
Today, we're sharing stories on the rich culture of Miami, from the sports to the arts.
These stories help to bring the legacy of the city to life and celebrate the diversity that makes Miami one of the most vibrant cities in the country. One strange encounter, a locker room surprise, and a legacy that's lasted nearly 30 years. Tonight, we take you inside the story of how one Florida Panthers tradition turned into a symbol of pride and how it's still evolving today. It was the 1995-96 NHL season, and the Florida Panthers, in just their third season, were still the new kids on the ice. But one unexpected locker room moment changed the team's identity forever.
This rat came scurrying in our room, and it was pretty good size. And I don't think you got a bunch of brave, tough hockey players, and we weren't exactly handling it like brave, tough hockey players. A couple guys kind of kicked at it, and a couple of guys kind of jumped up on their stalls.
It got to Scott Mellenby, and just very cavalier, just shot the rat, and it hit the wall, and it died.
But it wasn't just the rat killing that made the moment legendary. It's what Mellenby did next, with that very same stick, that turned a freak occurrence into Florida Panthers folklore.
I remember looking at my stick. I used black tape on my stick, and I remember distinctly looking at it, and I had these little rat hairs on the tape, showing a couple of guys and whatever. So that was kind of weird, but and then I got 2 goals that night.
A locker room story that quickly made its way to the ice. 2 goals and 1 dead rat later, a new phenomenon was born: the rat trick. It wasn't long before fans started throwing plastic rats onto the ice after every Panthers goal.
It was crazy. I mean, I look back now occasionally and I see the video, and I can't, I remember them being a lot of rats, but it's incredible.
Behind the scenes, Panthers assistant equipment manager and University of Miami alum Scott Tinkler helped turn that moment into a movement.
There was a Halloween store, and I saw this really intimidating. It's a big rat on, like, standing up, and I bought it and I put it underneath by where Mel killed the rat, basically.
So this is, if you can see that and read that's a piece of drywall that Scott Tinkler, who wrote R.I.P. Rat 1 and the date, and there is some little splotches of blood there.
As rats rained down by the thousands, the frenzy fueled this scrappy team to their very first Stanley Cup Finals. Over the years, the rat tradition has made its way off the ice, not just surviving, but transforming. What started as a quirky locker room moment has grown into something even bigger than the game itself. Today, the rat is everywhere, from team stores to handmade fan art. Some fans even take their love for the tradition to the next level.
People started throwing rats on the ice, and I really was looking for a way to make them a little cuter, because who really wants to be associated with, big ugly black rats? So started painting little jerseys on them, to scale, and it kind of became a hit.
Even Victor E. Rat, one of the team's mascots inspired by the tradition, has become a staple of Panthers culture, making appearances at games and throughout South Florida.
Yeah, the whole thing's been amazing, that it's, like you said, that it's still kind of going on. And I think it's really, it's cool to have, have something like that people just continue to embrace.
I love telling the story And I'm happy I was part of that history. I'm happy that we've created new history with the organization.
From a spontaneous moment to a cherished tradition, the rat trick has taken on a life of its own, both on and off the ice. For UMTV, I'm Ava Kazirian. So next time you see Victor E. Rat or spot a painted rat in the stands, you'll know this tradition is more than just plastic and paint. It's passion, history, and the heart of Panthers hockey.
The Florida Panthers host Learn to Skate clinics all over South Florida to introduce the game to younger generations. Usually, these clinics are open to boys and girls of all ages. However, this one at Kendall Ice Arena was just for girls. In the U.S., female hockey players only account for 15% of all players. That's 6-to-1 male to female ratio. So the Panthers want to get more young girls involved in the game.
My entire job is growing the game. It's so important, especially because as hockey has kind of spread to the States and stuff like that, it's just become more and more important to see more kids get out there. And I just think it's so exciting. My favorite part of my job is when the girls come out.
The Panthers Learn to Play program is available at rinks all over South Florida.
On your drive to campus, you've probably seen plenty of skateboarders. Skateboarding has become a key part of Miami culture. However, as Gracie Palmer tells us, skateboarding can be much more beneficial than people think.
Skateboarding, a sport that's been around for over 60 years. In the 1950s, skateboarding was created by surfers in California as a way to replicate the feeling of riding a wave. From there, it quickly gained popularity around the world.
But as far as the growth of skating, I've seen it go from like 0 to 100. I think Miami right now, in this moment as we stand here right now, is like kind of at its apex of kind of the influence of skating.
But Miami hasn't always been a hot spot for skating.
Growing up in Miami, we had random skate, like backyard half pipes, and it was really limited to who can skate them. So we just literally skated the streets, downtown Miami.
I went to Philadelphia, New York City, California, and the infrastructure for skating was much different than it was here in Miami. I grew up with no skate parks, no public skate parks.
Back before public skate parks grew in the city, teens used roads, DIY ramps, and vacant lots to learn the sport. This became specifically popular amongst underserved Latino groups.
There's a certain social aspect of skateboarding that's almost universal, no matter what walk of life you come from.
Where you have street spots and stuff, and like that's what you know, kind of thing. Like, I remember after Katrina, there was like this Latin America that got torn down, and then they made like a DIY out of that.
A key contributor to this growth of skating was the creation of Lot 11, located directly under I-95 in downtown Miami.
And I'm standing here on Lot 11, a once abandoned parking lot now turned into a skate park. And all of that was made possible by a local nonprofit known as Skate Free.
Skate Free was founded in 2012 with a goal to help underprivileged kids express themselves safely through skateboarding.
So the goal of Skate Free is to promote skateboarding in a free and equitable way. So through the creation of skate parks, kind of strategically placing them in underserved neighborhoods that don't have access to these types of facilities.
Since its creation, Skate Free has partnered with Miami Parking Authority, the Florida Department of Transportation, and even energy drink company Red Bull. Their biggest project is the creation of Lot 11, which took 8 years to bring to life.
But Lot 11 definitely was the thing that brought people to Miami.
But the skateboarding scene is still continuing to grow for the rest of South Florida too. In Hollywood, contractor Jason Ramft is building a 9,000 square foot skate park. He built Lot 11 as well. He says it's nice to see the city support these skateboarding projects.
It's better late than never, kind of outlook on it. Yes, it would have been nice 20, 25 years ago to have something like Lot 11, but having it today, it's still a blessing.
And with more parks popping up, what was once a niche sport is now leaving a lasting impact here in South Florida. For UMTV, I'm Gracie Palmer.
Skate Free hopes to continue expanding the skating scene here in Miami, working towards offering skating classes and after-school care. If you're interested in making a donation, go to skatefree.org.
One of the rarest ecosystems in the world is hidden in plain sight, right there in Miami-Dade, and it's under threat. Quinn Davidson joins us with how conservationists are fighting to save the pine rocklands. Quinn?
That's right, Caleb. These forests once stretched across much of South Florida, but now only fragments remain, surrounded by homes, highways, and even development sites. I spoke with local experts working to protect what's left and restore native species before it's too late. Tucked behind neighborhoods and farmland in South Florida lies one of the most endangered habitats on Earth, the pine rocklands.
The pine rocklands, they're significant because they were historically the dry part of Miami, which means that they're very imperiled. They're the second most imperiled habitat in the world.
Pine rocklands are dry, open forests that grow on limestone bedrock, a landscape found nowhere else in the continental United States. They provide habitat for dozens of rare plants and animals found only in South Florida. Once stretching across Miami-Dade County, these forests are now almost gone.
We have less than 2% of them left outside of Everglades National Park, and they are filled with endangered species.
Development for agriculture, housing, and roads has led to the rapid decline of this ecosystem over the last century. Today, only fragments remain, scattered across the county. James Duncan leads restoration efforts at Navy Wells, one of the county's largest remaining pine rocklands. The restoration began in the 1990s under the county's Environmentally Endangered Lands program, funded by voters to protect fragile ecosystems like this one.
We lost a huge pineland to Walmart. It started a rabies epidemic. We had animals in the zoo that got eaten by the displaced bobcats. So it really caused a disruption in nature. So that's why we're fighting so hard to protect whatever is left.
Part of that land was once owned by the University of Miami. In 2014, the school sold off 88 acres of endangered pine rockland to a private developer, sparking backlash from environmental groups and students. Part of the site was cleared for commercial projects, including the controversial Walmart. County forest protection ordinances limit what can be done to pine rocklands, and in 2014, federal agencies designated large areas as critical habitat under the Endangered Species Act. But local action is just as important. At events like this one at Trinity Pineland Preserve, residents volunteer to identify species, remove invasive plants, and rebuild native ecosystems. Saving the pine rocklands isn't just up to scientists, it's also up to the community. Here at the Trinity Preserve, numerous volunteers stepped in today to help protect one of Miami's most vital ecosystems.
These are all of ours natural heritage, we like to say. It is because of the pine rocklands, South Florida is what it is.
As climate change and development continue to threaten these fragile forests, conservationists say every volunteer, every parcel of protected land, and every native plant matters.
About 14 years ago, 2 pine rockland butterflies were declared extinct. And we did get a lot of help from the federal government in terms of designating a lot of these habitats critical habitat.
For now, the pine rocklands stand as a fragile reminder of what once covered Miami and a chance to save what's left before it's gone for good. The pine rocklands are home to dozens of rare plants and animals found nowhere else on Earth. Experts say preserving these spaces means acting fast before more land is lost to development in the future. Reporting for the last time for UMTV, I'm Quinn Davidson.
Thank you, Quinn. And coming up after a short break.
We'll look at one community in Miami that is working together to highlight the history of Miami through decades of designs. Stay with us.
It's important to get a flu shot each and every year because flu viruses are constantly changing and immunity from the vaccine decreases over time. Flu vaccines are updated annually to work against that year's viruses. The best time to get your shot is in the fall, but getting it later can still help. Getting a flu shot lowers your risk of getting sick, and if you do happen to get flu, it's likely to be less severe.
the heart of Little Havana in Miami, communities isn't just a word, it's a way of life. From the streets of Calle Ocho to the weekly events that bring neighbors together, it's clear that this vibrant neighborhood is thriving in ways beyond Domino Park or Ball and Chain. Jordan Cerullo is here to tell us how the locals are coming together to make a difference. Jordan? Ava, Calle Ocho in Little Havana is known for its music, food, and deep cultural roots. But spend just a little bit of time here and you'll see it's really about the people. From weekly run clubs to community cleanups, neighbors are always looking for new ways to connect and give back one step at a time. Miami is home to many historic and cultural neighborhoods, but few hold the vibrant energy found on Calle Ocho. This iconic street in the heart of Little Havana is alive with dancing, singing, and the aroma of delicious Cuban cuisine. From the moment you arrive, you're immersed in a celebration of life and tradition. At the heart of it all is Domino Park and the iconic Ball and Chain, a live music venue where Cuban culture comes alive both day and night. Every wall tells a story of Little Havana's history. But beyond these cultural landmarks, it's the people who really give the neighborhood its true spirit. Every person you see walking through the streets of Little Havana is bonded through more than just culture, but through a strong sense of community. David Vargas and his run club embody this sense of community, prioritizing genuine connection.
There was kind of a need for community after the pandemic, right? People were craving being together, being out, and we sort of kind of delivered on that.
Vargas, along with many members, was born and raised in Little Havana. However, everyone comes from diverse backgrounds, bringing their own flares and personality together each week to share stories, learn from each other, and build community.
As I've moved from neighborhood to neighborhood, now living in Little Havana, there's still always something that you can do to bring yourself out and get to know other people in your neighborhood.
The group runs a 2-mile route every time they meet, keeping it accessible for beginners and experienced runners alike, hoping to bring more people together. But what truly sets the Little Havana Run Club apart is Tony.
I actually really love going out of my way most of the time and just congratulating people, cheering them on, making them feel like they can do more.
Tony is the club's official cheerleader, motivating every runner to push a little harder and celebrate their efforts. At the end of each run, he surprises participants with confetti cannons and treats.
And I'm wearing something that says Run Little Havana, or it comes up that I'm a member of the club. I always get a really, really warm response. And so it seems that the people who know us and who we are and what we do, we're making an impact.
And that impact extends beyond running. Recently, Run Little Havana teamed up with EarthDay.org to add a different kind of movement to their routine.
We started the event off doing yoga so that we can really ground ourselves and get ready for the cleanup. And despite how amazing this street is and the community here, there's still a lot of trash and actually a big issue with illegal dumping in the area.
After yoga, participants spent hours walking the neighborhood, collecting more than 140 pounds of trash, one bucket at a time.
They honestly wanted to join along with us and pick up trash, which was great. So there's a really special energy in Calle Ocho that I love.
That energy, whether through running, cheering, or cleaning up, is what defines Little Havana's spirit.
That's what it's really all about, getting eyeballs on these special places that some people may have not come to otherwise.
In Little Havana, community isn't just something you talk about. It's something you show up for. From the energy on Calle Ocho to the neighborhood runs and cleanups, it is clear, when people come together, they make their neighborhood stronger. Whether you're lacing up your shoes for a run, cleaning up, or soaking in the sights and sounds, Little Havana is always buzzing with energy. It's a place where community thrives and the culture is always alive. So if you haven't had the chance to experience it yet, go check out this vibrant neighborhood and see the energy for yourself. Live for the very last time for UMTV, I'm Jordan Cerullo.
Thank you, Jordan. In a city where headlines move fast, it's rare we get to recognize the past. That's why murals are made to last. History is the label we attach to things we look back on, but at the Everett Stewart Community Center in central Miami, it's difficult to look back on something you're surrounded by.
Depending on what part of the park you enter, there should be some images that get your attention, and most people, when they start on that side of the park, don't even know that there's images inside.
Herman Dubois is the executive director of the nonprofit organization Hope Murals, which blends urban art with civic work.
A lot of our projects have an element that has everything to do with social impact, or what I refer to as artivism.
However, Hope Murals' latest project has gone beyond activism. It's highlighting the importance of one Miami neighborhood. Brownsville is a moderately sized community of about 16,000, but its history far exceeds its size. It was the first neighborhood in Miami where, starting back in the 1940s, black residents could buy land or own and operate a business. Now, through a collaboration with the Brownsville Civic Neighborhood Association, Herman and his team are painting these facts at Jefferson Reeves Senior Park's Community Center.
You know, this is history. This is just not a face on the wall. This is representing a community that, you know, these are icons. These are people that build up the community.
Ray Sanchez has seen the process from start to finish.
You know, before it was blank walls, but now it's not. It's like each person represents a different part of history in the community.
Yet behind these faces are the talented artists responsible for multiple portraits.
I did Dr. Fields on this side, and I also did Gwen Cherry on the other side, which are heavy hitters in the community.
There are 10 faces in total, spread around the community center. On this wall, people range from members of the Florida House of Representatives with Joe Lane Kershaw, down to the namesake of this park with Jefferson Reeves Sr., who was also an educator in his time. The very same quality this mural is serving to inform people about the legacy of Brownsville.
This is sort of like a silent revolution, to be able to say our art not only provides beautification, but it also educates people on information and the history that is currently being challenged or deleted or erased.
If it wasn't for the murals, bringing out the faces, bringing out the people that made Brownsville what it is today, I would have never known.
A gift that keeps on giving.
You're looking at the piece, you're looking at, you know, the elements of the mural, and you're having that conversation with it.
Hopefully this can be a destination space where when they think of art, they don't just think of Wynwood, and they think of different communities that have pieces of artwork that become recognized. And if people are interested in learning about Brownsville,
then hopefully they know where to come, because these guys will be waiting for that conversation. The mural is set to be unveiled on May 17th at 9 a.m. It's incredible to think about the collective influence these 10 people had, but also to realize how much important history gets lost in our times.
We've all seen graffiti at some point in our lives, but what may seem like an annoying type of vandalism for officials has rich political history in one city in Miami-Dade County. Wynwood Walls is the only district in South Florida where graffiti knows no bounds. The graffiti scene started as an act of rebellion during the 70s. Now, the graffiti here reimagines vandalism to bring voices to the walls of the county.
Miami's culture fuels a fast-growing influencer scene. At the University of Miami, one student is building a tight community where young creators can grow, connect, and land real brand deals. Alanis Vieira has more.
Miami is known for its beaches, its vibrant nightlife, and now its influencers. In the era of content creation, a growing community of student creators at the University of Miami are tapping into the city's culture. But one student is at the center of it all. Emmeline Smith, a junior at the University of Miami, is turning posts into paychecks. But she's not doing it alone. She's built a community that's transforming how students in Miami tap into the world of influencing.
Noticed that there was a lack of a community for creators to come and
gain that feedback and that inspiration to really build upon themselves. So we decided, why not? We can try it, see how many people we attract, and we have gained over 300 members in the last 3 weeks.
The Campus Creator Club is more than a club. It's a sisterhood of strategy. From weekly Zoom workshops to comment chains, Emmeline's mission is to lift others while she climbs.
So it's really just like us, a community of us supporting each other and watching us grow. Every time you post a video, you send it into the group me and everyone's like commenting, hyping you up. So it's just a great community for a lot of people in the same boat.
And when it comes to landing brand deals, she's teamed up with 2 fellow Miami students, Thomas and Noah, founders of Drift Marketing, an agency helping student influencers get paid.
I think we got a little lucky with UMiami because it's kind of is the influencer hub right now, especially with Alex Earl going here. And now there's hundreds of aspiring influencers at UMiami, so it kind of set us up perfectly.
Drift Marketing uses the Creator Club to connect brands with their influencers.
We signed our first major client, which was InDrive, which we did a huge campaign with at UM. It was pretty successful. We had like 120 different pieces of content, 40 different influencers over 3 months, and had great results with them. That allowed us to continue the business moving forward to like brands like C4 and a bunch of other international brands as well.
Miami is a city of opportunities, especially in the influencer world. They have the opportunity to attend events, shows, and even brand dinners like the ones right behind me. Let's go.
It's a scene straight out of social media, but for brands, this is business. Miami's scenery, style, and social energy makes it a prime location for campaigns and dinners. And since Emmeline is based out of Miami, she had the chance to attend a glamorous dinner with Soap and Glory.
I think Miami is a city of opportunities. It's a city of inspiration. There are a lot of younger people here who are working really hard, especially in the content creation space.
Emmeline is proving that influencing in Miami isn't just a trend, it's a movement.
Consumers are looking to build parasocial relationships with content creators and influencers on the internet right now. They don't trust traditional marketing techniques, and they are looking to turn to somebody who is relatable and will give them quality advice.
With Miami's creator economy growing by the day, student influencers like Emmeline Smith are turning passion into profession, one post at a time. For UMTV, I'm Alana Svier.
Miami's Campus Creator Club is just getting started, with plans to grow their community nationwide and bring even more big-name brand deals to young influencers across the country.
Miami is made up of a number of different cities with unique communities and cultures of their own. And one of these cities that we call home celebrated an impressive milestone this past week. As students and faculty at the University of Miami celebrate 100 years of the school, the city of Coral Gables celebrated a centennial of its own this past week, marking 100 years of existence dating back to 1925. The city's commissioners held a ceremony celebrating the historic milestone at City Hall, featuring speakers from local government and leaders within the community. As City Commissioner Richard Lara explains, 100 years deserves a celebration of the city's past, but also a look into the bright future.
100 years is quite significant because it's not only 100 years of growth, but it's 100 years of honoring a legacy. Being able to stand here on this historic ground, celebrating 100 years and knowing the city is as strong as it ever was, and that frankly, its best days lie in front of it.
And also featured a ceremonial flag raising, with Coral Gables first responders having the honor of raising our nation's flag and a brand new Coral Gables centennial flag. Coral Gables founder George Merrick was honored as the one responsible for the city's success over the past century. And his statue was reconditioned and given a new plaque to honor the pioneer.
Well, 100 years both in Coral Gables and here at UM. That's pretty amazing.
Absolutely insane. And to be graduating in the centennial year, it's just such an honor.
Of course.
And that's all we have for this special edition of UMTV News, focusing on the culture in Miami. Thank you for joining us.
The show will be back next semester. Have a great summer and stay safe.